Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Dr. Arvirav's Academy. Myself Dr. Raja Prakash Rao. Today we'll see about network theory. The basic topics in network theory are: first one is basic electrical quantities. Basic electrical quantities. And the second one is energy absorbing principle. And third one is conditions for flow of current. Conditions for current flow. Current flow in the circuit. Okay, today we will discuss about all these three basic topics. Before that, we will see what is network theory. Network is also called as a circuit, but there is small difference between network and circuit. Network may have closed loops or open paths, but circuit must have at least one closed loop. That is the main difference between network and circuit. And what is circuit? Circuit is a collection of interconnected circuit elements such as, first one is voltage source, current source, resistance, inductance, and capacitance. Out of these, the first two are called the active elements. And these next three are called the passive elements. Energy is supplied by active sources to the circuit, and whatever the energy supplied by the active sources will be absorbed by these passive elements. Okay, and theoretically, the circuits are analyzed and then also synthesized. So theoretically, it is given two parts. One is analysis part, and another one is synthesis part. So in the analysis part, for a given network, an input is applied. We also call it as excitation. Input can be voltage or current. We call that as excitation voltage or excitation current. And output is determined by using network analysis techniques. We will see about those techniques in the upcoming sessions. So applying this input, output is determined by using any one of the analysis techniques. Output can be current, voltage or power, and we call this as response of the given network. Then what about synthesis? The synthesis part, inputs are given, outputs are also given, and we need to design the circuit. We need to design the network. This part is not there in the syllabus, so we can leave that part. You can ignore it. Okay, next we will see about the basic electrical quantities. Basic electrical quantities. quantities. The basic electrical quantities, the first one is charge. Charge divided by Q of T. Q of T and is measured in coulombs. Actually, what is a charge? It is a physical property of subatomic particles. Subatomic particles are protons, neutrons, and electrons. Protons, neutrons, and these are subatomic particles. The size of these subatomic particles will be obviously less than the size of the atom, since these are existing in the atom. And the protons carry positive charge, electrons carry negative charge. If neutrons doesn't carry any charge, so we can ignore this. Why? Because charge is contributed by protons or electrons only. So charge of electron is equal to minus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. And the charge of proton is equal to plus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. And this charge of electron is quantized, that means further it cannot be divided. It is the least charge available in the nature. So the charge Q, capital Q also, is equal to plus or minus n into E, where it is an integer. So, for example, if a body A loses some electrons, for example, if it is just 2 electrons or 3 electrons, suppose 3 electrons, then the charge gained by that body is plus 3e. This is the charge gained by this body because it has lost 3 electrons. By rubbing the body, you can remove the electrons from the atoms of this body. And let us suppose if a body B acquires electrons, then charge of this body will be minus 2Q, minus 2E. Charge is equal to minus 2 into E. And let us find out how many electrons will be there in 1 coulomb of charge. Let us find out. (1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs represent 1 electron. That means 1 electron's charge of 1 electron is minus 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulombs. Then 1 coulomb of charge contains how many electrons? So obviously it is equal to the number of electrons is equal to 1 by 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, which is equal to 6.25 into 10 to the power 80 number of electrons. So the million number of electrons will be in 1 coulomb of charge. Next we will see about what is current. Second basic electrical quantity is current. Current is denoted by I of t. We will consider only the instantaneous values of these quantities. Current is denoted by I of t. It is defined as rate of flow of charge. We have seen already about what is charge. Okay, it is nothing but rate of flow of charge, dq by dt. So the units of this charge current will be coulomb per second, which is equal to 1 ampere. It is measured in amperes. 1 ampere is equal to 1 coulomb by 1 second. 1 coulomb by 1 second. Voltage now. Another basic quantity is voltage. Voltage dq, and it is measured in volts. We will have this dW by dt. How we will get this dW by dt, and it is measured in volts, or 1 joule per 1 joule or 1 volt is equal to 1 joule by 1 coulomb. From this I am writing this. SI unit is volts, and 1 volt is equal to 1 joule by 1 second. 1 joule by 1 coulomb. Now let us see the definition of this voltage. Now voltage is defined as the work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point and another point in a given circuit. So we know about what is charge and rate of flow of charge and current, we are saying. But how the charge is moved in the circuit, some force is required to move the circuit. That force is nothing but this potential difference or voltage. And it is also called as electromotive force, which pushes the electrons to move in the circuit. Now let us see about the definition. It is defined as the work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point in a given circuit. Let us consider a simple circuit having a resistance, inductor and a capacitor. And this is active source and these are the passive elements. This is active element and this is passive element. And the current flows like this from positive terminal to negative terminal. Then this is I be the current. And the direction of this current is from positive terminal to negative terminal. This is conventional current. But the actual current flows in this direction. There is nothing but the axial drift of the electrons from negative polarity to positive polarity. These are the actual electrons which moves in this direction. So this is called as actual flow of current. Actual flow of current. Direction of actual flow of current. This is the direction of actual flow of current. This is the direction of conventional current. This is the direction of actual current. Actual current. Now, as per the definition, it is defined as let V be the voltage. Now, it is defined as the work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another in a given circuit. Let this point be A and let this point be B. So, for moving charge, 1 coulomb of charge from this point to this point is nothing but the work done. That work done is nothing but V of t. So, we can write like this. Let dW be the work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from A to B. From A to B the circuit. So, what is the work done now? That is dW is the work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from A to B. That is nothing but V joules. V of t joules. The definition we said, what is V of t? It is nothing but work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from one point to another point. Another way we can write down like this. So work done in moving 1 coulomb of charge from A to B is V of t joules. So now what is work done in moving dq charge? dq charge from point A to point B. That is the same point from point A to point B in the same circuit. So what will be that now? The work done will be equal to V of t into dq only. Why? Because the cost of banana is 5 rupees or 2 rupees, but the cost of 12 bananas 12 into 5 or 12 into 2, depending on the cost of the banana. 12 into 2 is 24 rupees. In the same way, the work done for moving 1 coulomb of charge from this point to this point is V of t joule. So what will be the work done for moving dq charge from point A to point B? That is equal to V of t into dq. So V of t is equal to dw by dq. We work out that is a dw by dq like this, and it is measured in joules per coulomb, and which is equal to volts. Measured in volts. Next we will say volt power now. Power is given by instantaneous value like this P of T, and it is measured in watts. Measured in watts, and it is nothing but power is what? It is defined as rate of doing work. So you can write down like this dw by dt. It can be instantaneous W of T, instantaneous work. dw by dt, rate of doing work, and it is measured in watts. Measured in watts, and 1 watt is equal to 1 joule by 1 second. 1 joule by 1 second. And P of T, as it given dw by dt, it can be written as dw by dq into dq by dt. So which will be equal to, what is dw by dq? That is nothing but V of t. And what is dq by dt? It is nothing but rate of flow of charge is equal to I of t. So instantaneous power V of t is equal to instantaneous voltage into instantaneous current. Instantaneous current. In the other way, if power is given, we can get back to, we can find out the work done. That is work done is equal to, by integrating this power with respect to t from T1 to T2. From T1 to T2 we will get the work done, that is energy in joules. Okay. Next we will see about energy absorbing principle. The second topic in the today's session, energy absorbing principle. Let us consider a circuit having RLC, a active source, and passive elements connected across this RLC. RLC, and V is the voltage source connected across RL and C. In this circuit, one active element is there and 3 passive elements are there. Energy is supplied by this voltage source, and that energy is absorbed by these passive elements R, L and C. R, L and C. So R is the resistance which absorbs the energy, and dissipates the energy in the form of heat. And whereas inductor will absorb the energy and then stores the energy in the form of electric and magnetic fields. And the capacitor also absorbs the energy and stores the energy in the form of electric and magnetic field. Now coming to principle now, let's consider an element X. We do not know whether it is active or passive element. Having 2 terminals minus and plus and minus, and if current flows into the positive terminal like this and leaves from the negative terminal like this, then we can say that this element is absorbing power. This element is absorbing power in order to PA. So this is the principle behind this. Just by seeing the direction of current, whether if it is entering the element, we can say that the element is absorbing power. And the situation is like this. Let Y be the element. The current is leaving from the positive terminal and entering into the negative terminal like this. In this situation, we can say that it is delivering power. This element is delivering power. So we can write it as PD. So it is delivering power. So in the circuit, there can be any number of passive elements and any number of active elements, or any number of elements which deliver the power and which may accept the power, and any number of elements which can accept the power. So in that case, the net power P net should be equal to power delivered plus power absorbed. Power delivered plus power absorbed. Why? Because in the inverse, energy is conserved. So in the network also, the power is conserved. So net power should be equal to zero. Should be equal to zero. Why? Because the power delivered will be equal to power delivered. Power delivered is equal to power absorbed. But next we will see about the conditions for flow of current in a circuit. And we observe peacefully second one. The third one is conditions for current to flow in the circuit. Current flow in the circuit. Current flow in the circuit. So any circuit will be active only if it has at least one independent source. That means the independent source will supply energy to the passive elements. Okay? So the first and foremost condition is the circuit must have at least one voltage source. At least one voltage source. That means there should be potential difference in the circuit. If there is no potential difference, the current will not flow in the circuit. Okay? The first and foremost, there is a condition for flowing current. The force is required to move the current. That force from where we will get from the battery. That is voltage source. And the second point is there should be at least one closed loop. If all the loops are open, current will not flow in the circuit. Okay? So there must be, and the circuit must have at least one closed path. And the third one is there must be a return path. There must be a return path for the current. There must be a return path for the current. Return path for the current. Must be return path for the current. That means the current must get back to the point from where it has started its journey. I will show you here now. For example, let us consider a small circuit. Okay. With the voltage and I is the current. If the circuit is broken like this, the current will not flow. Okay. So that you should have at least one closed, no current transfer. Then it has to get back to its source now. This is called as return path. So there must be a return path. There must be return path for the current. So get back to the point from which it has started. Okay, that's all about today's session.